Welcome back, YouTubers, to another NXT review with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist. If you have any comments on this NXT show or NXT in general, then please let me know, of course, as per usual, down in that comment section below. Now, it seemed like this show was really geared as a go-home show to set up to next week's show, which is, I believe, going to be filmed from Columbus, Ohio. They're going to be going on the road for the first time, taking NXT on the road, and they're going to record the episode from location and show it on the WWE Network. That's the vibe I was getting from the video packages they were showing, the way the commentators were talking about it. So next week's show should be a pretty big show, and this whole show is pretty much used to build up to that show. And I think as a go-home show, this did a pretty good job. I really did. It looks like we're going to be getting Kevin Owens versus Alex Riley. Good match. Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss, and a tag team championship match, which I'll go on to in a minute. And it looks like that they really have a lot of faith in this on the road thing, because they're doing such a big show and promoting it so well on the normal NXT show, to give this show a big way to start off. So I really hope this does succeed for NXT. As at some point in time, the NXT talents have to get some kind of feel for, not just to learn the wrestling craft and how to tell a story and how to be a character, but they also have to learn to deal with the media and all the other things, all the other extrinsic things that come along with being a WWE superstar, which involves being on the road, being away from family, etc. So it'd be a big learning curve for the NXT roster if they do choose to do this on a bit of a larger scale than what they do, generally, which is do their shows in-house. No more talking about that. Let's go straight onto this show. So we started off the show with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus the Lucha Dragons in what was a #1 contendership match. And I must admit, I never thought I would see the day that the Lucha Dragons were getting booed in the ring in a tag team match. I really don't. And really, in this match, they were heels. And I think this also shows how over the combination of Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy is. I mean, the Lucha Dragons were unanimously cheered whenever they faced anyone else. But as soon as they faced Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, boos. They got completely booed. And just never ever thought that would be the case with the Lucha Dragons, which is a very babyface-orientated tag team. Kind of similar to if Rey Mysterio ever got booed. It just doesn't usually happen unless he's against a more over babyface. Like, let's say at the Royal Rumble when he came out at 30, people thought it was going to be Daniel Bryan, and they booed Rey Mysterio because of it. But anyway, moving on. Colin Cassidy and Enzo Amore won this match. No surprise, really. They've been built up lately to be the #1 contenders, and they really sort of booked this in a way where Enzo Amore is kind of like the beat-down doll, kind of so to speak, for the other team, and Colin Cassidy is the real difference maker in the team, as the 7-foot guy, 300 pounds or whatever. So, they put these guys over pretty well here, and they're going to be facing Murphy and Blake next week for the Tag Team Championships, which should at least be a half-decent match. You don't exactly get the best wrestling matches with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, but they're fucking entertaining. And you can't take that away from them, and you can't teach that. So they made the announcement earlier on in the night that Alexa Bliss was going to be facing Sasha Banks, I believe, for the NXT Women's Championship at next week's show, which is going to be recorded from Columbus, Ohio. And I believe she's going to be the hometown girl there, which is probably why they've given her such a quick push towards the NXT Women's Championship picture. So, as soon as Alexa Bliss started facing Carmella, you kind of knew who was going over here. Alexa Bliss has only just returned to the ring, so we're going to give her a bit of a showcase here to get her ready for that match. And, on the one hand, I'm sitting there thinking, Alexa Bliss, she's just come to the ring, and on her second match, she's going to be fighting for the title. What's she done to deserve it? Okay. But at the same time, she's just returned. They put her over strong here against Carmella, and she'll also be the hometown girl, which is, a reason for the crowd to get invested in that match. And Alexa Bliss looked pretty decent here. In the past, I think, her and Carmella have looked very green, and this match wasn't exactly the best match, but it was still decent enough. And I think the top rope finisher she did, I can't remember the name of it, it's like a 180 backflip of some kind. That was a nice way to finish the match, in my opinion. That's the kind of finisher that I think, yes, 1, 2, 3, no one's going to get up from that. So, Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks next week. We'll see what happens there. I think Sasha Banks is a pretty decent in-ring general, and she should pull out the best in Alexa Bliss, who I believe is still a little bit green in the ring, but is going to obviously have the hometown crowd by her side. I think over these last few weeks, NXT have been doing a really good job in spotlighting Alex Riley, and this show was no different. They had that video package for him. I really liked the passion he showed in that backstage promo segment that he did. I thought that was a really good promo and really relived that fire that is lighting Alex Riley right now. And they're doing that whole rage thing, which is now part of his character. So really good spotlighting here. And he had a match against CJ Parker, which was, I suppose, to try and impress William Regal enough to get him a match against Kevin Owens. The bottom line is, guys, that I know Alex Riley's a good talker, and he could be the analyst, quite well on the commentary table or in the pre-shows. But I can't tell you how good it was to see this guy in the ring again. Because I was a real fan of Alex Riley at the time. Mainly thanks to Jeff Schlegel, Off the Road Show, the Schleg Daddy, whatever. But when I saw Alex Riley turn on The Miz and get that push, man, I was hyped for that. And when he got put in the doghouse, no one was more disappointed than myself. And I thought at least maybe we'll see this guy on NXT a little bit, but we didn't. So it's finally good after all this time to see him in the ring, and you could see how passionate he was, and you could see the passion in the way he was wrestling, and how he reacted after his win against CJ Parker. You can just really see it in this guy that he wants to do well, and you don't really see those qualities very often in WWE. A lot of people put in his position would quit. Alex Riley, though, no, he didn't fucking quit. He took it like a man, he took his opportunities, and here we go, he's getting another one now. Where this will lead, I don't know, and it's just nice to see Alex Riley getting back in the ring, it really is. You had Kevin Owens coming out after the match saying that he will end his in-ring career and then he'll end the rise of Finn Balor. They didn't really need to do too much here. They've probably been hyping this feud up for about a month now. The match between Alex Riley and Kevin Owens, that should be a really good main event for that Columbus, Ohio show. I'm really actually quite looking forward to that. Two characters that I'm very into going at it in a match which has got quite a lot of heat surrounding it now. Hell, Alex Riley came out of his commentary job just to be an in-ring competitor, just to go after Kevin Owens. So our main event of the evening was Tyler Breeze facing off with Hideo Itami. This feud has been going on ever since the Hideo Itami knocked Tyler Breeze out of the #1 contendership tournament. And Tyler Breeze had a bit of a chip on his shoulder since saying that Hideo Itami has cost his opportunity at going after the NXT Championship. And the feud so far has been very basic. They've been having a few matches. You had a couple of heat segments here and there. Another good match between these two. We kind of expect it, though, between Tyler Breeze and Hideo Itami. The big surprise of the night was that Tyler Breeze actually won. You had Hideo Itami win the #1 contendership match. You had him winning the match at NXT TakeOver Rival. And now Tyler Breeze is winning. It's about fucking time as well, because generally in this feud it's been Hideo Itami on top, even though a couple of weeks ago Tyler Breeze super kicked him and he still never managed to get the segment on top. I understand pushing a babyface strong, but there are times when you have to have the heel just be better. And that is exactly what happened here. There was no cheating, there was no tomfoolery, there was none of that. Tyler Breeze was just better. He even got a couple of boos from the crowd as well, which is very rare for Tyler Breeze. I just wish, with the matches these two have put on, I just wish they'd do a little bit more with this rather than just have match. I wish there was a little bit of story there. I wish there was a bit more of a reason for some heat, other than the fact that Hideo Itami cost Tyler Breeze his chance at the title in a #1 contention match in the semi-final stage or whatever. I wish there was a little bit more to it than that, because this could be a really good feud in my opinion. Maybe they're limited as to what they could do with Hideo Itami because of the language issues, I don't know. But, just a bit more. I wish they'd do a little bit more with this. That's just me. Anyway, this show overall, pretty good show. Like I said, main event match was good. Great to see Alex Riley back. They're setting up next week's show in Columbus, Ohio. I'm quite looking forward to seeing how they present that show. Alex Riley, Kevin Owens should be a good main event. Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss should be a decent women's match. Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy are in the tag team championship picture. There's so much going on in NXT now. This next week's show should kind of feel like an hour-long special. That's kind of how this should feel. So next week's show is lining up to be good. They built that up pretty well using this show. So next week's show should be good. This week's show was effective. Let me know what you thought of this show and what you're thinking of next week's show in that comment section below. And I'll be here same time next week. Thank you very much for watching this show, or this, I should say, this review, guys, and goodbye.